Eli Holstein and Desmond Reid on the field first. What a start for Pittsburgh in 2024 after a 3-9 campaign last year. And the opening kick squirms out of bounds inside the 1-yard line, and an ominous start for Carolina's special teams. As we take a look at our impact players, brought to you by Cracker Barrel.
And I'm going to start with Pitt. So when you're watching this Pitt offense, it's going to be all about Des Reid, number 0. He's small, 5'9", but plays big. Kyle Lewis on defense, always around the football. Then North Carolina, defensive end or outside linebacker edge player Desmond Evans, number 10, was one of the best recruits coming out of the nation, plays very heavy-handed and quick. Then when North Carolina's on the offense, Omarion Hampton. The scouts are here to see Omarion Hampton, number 28, running back from North Carolina.
Panthers with the football first. Kenny Johnson moves in motion. Underway in Chapel Hill, and the give to Des Reid straight ahead. 3-yard pickup on first down. Reid standing at 5'8", 175, and you heard about his level of confidence from Taylor Davis, and a big reason why his quarterback is the second leading rusher for this team in Eli Holstein. They have found creative ways to move the football in the Steel City. Another touch for Reid, operating without the tempo. Reid staggers ahead across the 40. It'll be third down. Hussey the tackle. .43% on third down this year, right in the middle of the pack, the upper echelon. The ACC. Holstein wants to run it. He can do that, but not this time. And the Carolina defense forces a 3-and-out in the first possession of this afternoon. Howard Eccles led the charge. A host of his teammates behind him. It'll be 4th and 2.
So it seems as if on this 4th down that Pitt's going to go for it right around midfield with that great field position. Smart decision to go for it because of the kickoff out of bounds.
No 3-and-out. They got to stand for play number 4. Analytics tell you to go for it here as well. Needing just 2. Holstein to the air, into the flats. Reid has it, and that's enough to move the chains. Into Carolina territory. Caleb Koss missed that tackle, and it was costly. Missed tackles the common denominator last week. 20 of them, in fact, in that loss at Duke.
And now's when you expect to hurry up. We heard from Cade Bell. They want to go fast early, or go slow early, and then as soon as they get that first down, speed it up.
Gain of 7 on 4th and 2. Holstein back to the air. Gonna heave one deep, man-to-man coverage. Caught inside the 10. Konata Mumpfield hauls it in. Right over top of Marcus Allen, a gain of 43.
Konata Mumpfield is a captain for this football team. He's a team leader in receptions, team leader in yards and touchdowns. But look at that, concentration. And the challenge that's going to happen for North Carolina is expect 5 to 7 of those deep balls, just like that. North Carolina hasn't proven that they can stop it yet.
On 1st and goal, Reid, a stutter step driven backwards at the line by Desmond Evans. The first big play of the afternoon goes in favor of the Panthers. Red zone is an emphasis for this Pitt offense in Cade Bell. They practice it extensively every Thursday before their final walkthrough. Daniel Carter checks in for the first time, number 4 for the Panthers.
So much of this motion and this shifting that you see makes it hard on your defense. They're trying to figure out, who do we guard? Who's my man?
It's back to Reid, who's wide open in the flats and had a path, and it was Carter that dropped it, and that's a play he should have made.
He should have made it, but the issue here is this. There's so much shifting and motioning happening before the snap. And North Carolina defensively is trying to communicate, who do I have? Do I have the tight end? Do I have the running back? All right, now they're in a tight formation. Do we have to communicate on the back end? This is the frustrating part about so much motion when you haven't seen it before. Pitt loves to go fast, but they slow it down when they get in the red zone.
3rd down and goal. 8 in the box for Carolina. Overman went in motion. They'll fake the toss. Holstein end zone and batted down. Amari Campbell, his Mike linebacker spot, forces a field goal attempt for the Panthers.
Unbelievable awareness by Amari Campbell, number 17. He's a middle linebacker. He leads everything on this defense. Notice he's spying the quarterback. He's watching the quarterback's eyes and then matching the quarterback's arm. As soon as that ball gets out of the quarterback's hand, he matches it. And great play by Campbell, the 6', 230-pound sophomore who leads this defense.
Chip shot attempt coming for Ben Sauls, who has been perfect this season. And that trend continues. Panthers on the board first. 3-0 lead, 3.5 minutes in Chapel Hill.
Let's go, big dog. Have a day now. Locked up. Who's got me here? Hey! I thought it was a young guy. Yeah. That was a young guy grab. I thought it was someone young. Let's go, 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 let's go. Let's go, Matlack. Let's go, let's go, let's go, let's go, let's go, let's go.
Well, for those living under a rock, Pat Narduzzi's got a lot of energy. If you're Mack Brown, I'm going to be cautious coming up behind him to surprise him with a bear hug. He got away with it. It worked out quite well.
Narduzzi's one of the most intense individuals I've been around, not just on a football field, but in meetings. We sat with him yesterday, and he's got the juice, put it that way.
It's about 2 cups of coffee a day, but not a big caffeine guy. Jacolby Criswell on the field for the first time. Start number 3. It's been a carousel of sorts at quarterback spot for Carolina. Omarion Hampton straight ahead and bullies his way ahead to the 32, a gain of 7. Criswell has done well transferring back to Chapel Hill after starting his career here. Brief stint at Arkansas. Acho, he was expected to be quarterback 2 or 3. Certainly a backup this fall. The injury to Max Johnson changed everything.
Oh, they came in when he transferred back in the spring. They said, hey, you're going to be our number 3. He said, I don't care. I'm ready to compete. And all of a sudden, an injury and an opportunity led to him being his 3rd start this season.
Criswell to the air, fires a pass. That was a bullet, but incomplete on the comeback. Kobe Paysour simply slipped and fell right as that ball was being released.
But I'm more impressed by Paysour getting that paw up, not necessarily to catch the ball. Sure, you want to catch it, but if he doesn't get that paw up, that's an interception. And so Paysour slips but has the wherewithal to try to catch the ball but still deflect it so that Rashad Battle doesn't pick it off and take it 6.
He would have hit his head on the goalpost.
Bingo.
If that pass is not deflected by the intended receiver. Nate McCollum in motion. 3rd down for UNC. The pocket held up for a moment for Criswell. He'll buy some time. Penalty marker comes out. We'll check the flag. The reception by Paysour in the area of holding. Let's hear from Stuart Mullins.
Holding. Offense, number 79. 10-yard penalty. 3rd down.
Transfer from North Texas, Howard Sampson. Instead of 1st and 10 at midfield, Tar Heels will move it backwards. 3rd down and long.
Which is exactly where Pitt wants to live in 3rd and long. Pitt loves to bring pressure. They call them void zones. They'll bring 6, more than you can block. They'll have 3 deep and 2 under. It makes it very hard for any offense, but especially a young offensive line like we see from North Carolina. So I'll be watching all game how the 2 tackles hold up in the pass protection game.
Pair of sophomores, Acho, the outside of that North Carolina offensive line. Criswell, they'll set up the screen. Big part of the offense on 3rd and long. A conservative call. Isaiah Neal, the tackle. And that'll mean North Carolina punt the football. No, Hampton picks up 5. And the punt team has been a bit of a journey this year in Chapel Hill. Tom McGinnis, the punter. Back-to-back weeks, North Carolina has seen a punt blocked. One against JMU, the other against Duke.
What that tells me, Roy, is that not only are they not fixing it in practice, but other teams are targeting trying to block these punts that come off the left side.
Dennis gets it away off the side of the foot. Kenny Johnson is there, muffs the punt, and jumps on top of it at the 42.
So this is different. Most of these punts, you start to see it lean toward the right. This one was more towards the middle. What that does is, number one, Kenny Johnson isn't ready for it. And number two, it's not as deep of a punt. Kenny Johnson has to try to run up and try and get this punt. He has the wherewithal to jump on the football, but this is something I'll be watching all day. How does North Carolina change their not only punt protection, but the launch angle of where the ball's kicked?
Injured Tar Heel near midfield at the 45. It's just been that kind of season so far. A 3-0 start, back-to-back losses, losing your starting quarterback Max Johnson for the season. He's in the building today, by the way, and has done everything he can to show his support for this team after transferring in. And the consummate teammate, it was Spencer Triplett, the long snapper that was injured for North Carolina. He now steps off the playing surface. Pitt gets it back, their second possession. Outstanding starting field position from the 42. Tunnel screen again. Rumbling across midfield for a gain of 9 as Kenny Johnson gets it into North Carolina territory. Second and short. Let's see if Pitt wants to take a shot. Holstein will keep it. And a first down run. Eli Holstein, the second leading rusher for the Panthers. And he's a guy that when he was recruited to Pittsburgh from Alabama transferring in, Pat Narduzzi told us this week, we knew he could run. Turns out he's the second leading rusher.
But they didn't know how it would look in game. In practice, you're not allowed to hit, let alone touch the quarterback. In games, you're allowed to get hit, and he's moving with great speed and great velocity.
After a gain of 7 on cue again, he'll spin his way to the 36.
The tough part about what Eli Holstein does and what this run game does for a defense is that you know as corners you have to defend the deep shots, right? Last week at Duke it was 5 to 7 deep shots. Now they're not just running it regularly, they're also running quarterback powers, which adds one more person to block.
Reid in the flats, very comfortable in that position as a pass catcher. And as a running back, he absorbs a big shot at the end of the 25. His power Eccles brought him down after a gain of 11.
And notice what we're seeing, Roy. We're seeing a lot of shots to the flat and then deep down the field. It keeps the defense off balance. Okay, do I need to stay back in coverage? Do I try and go up and try and intercept this ball? Expect what comes next, not now because they're too tight for it, but essentially like a screen and go. They'll fake it, then they'll take that deep shot when there's more space.
Confusion on the attempted jet sweep. The ball was on the turf forever. Kenny Johnson was supposed to get it. Depending how the ball came out, you wonder if that could have been ruled an incomplete pass, but the recovery by Johnson.
Pitt is playing with fire. That was not an incomplete pass. Of course, to your point, if it was a pop pass, if you try to catch it and put it forward, that's incomplete. That was a fumble. That's the second fumble that we've seen in the first 5 minutes of this game. And yes, they've both been recovered by Pitt, but to me it says, okay, are you being a little lazy? Are you being a little lackadaisical? Are you focused? Are you dialed in? Pitt is playing a little bit on the dangerous side right now.
2 comeback wins already for Pat Narduzzi's team. Trailed late against West Virginia. The backyard brawl, no problem against Cincinnati. It was a 21-point deficit the third quarter, and they came back and won on the road. Des Reid straight ahead to the 21.
And then, Roy, just to continue that conversation, why would the ball be on the ground so often? Well, Pitt, to your point, is coming off of a bye week. A bye week, yes, you're supposed to work on your fundamentals, but also you haven't played real live football, so the focus needs to get back focused so they don't turn the ball over.
3rd and 5. Holstein the other direction, and it's intercepted by North Carolina. Caleb Koss. 1 man to beat and no problem. The pick 6 for UNC.
Small players, but with big heart. Caleb Koss is 5'10 and a half, 195. But it doesn't matter about his size. This dude is saying, okay, I'm going to find a way to take the ball from the other team and take it 6.
Second career interception. An 84-yard return. A pick 6 for North Carolina. And the Tar Heels have their first lead. 7-3.
Caleb Cost is watching the eyes. He undercuts the route. That's brilliant football. But it's not just about undercutting the route. It's about finding the end zone and allowing your teammates to block for you. 7-3 North Carolina. Caleb Cost does.
As we went out to our last break, an unsportsmanlike conduct penalty called on the backup long snapper, Grant Mills. Carolina will kick off from its own 20 as a result. 15-yard infraction. Kenny Johnson from his own 13. First time today, we'll check in with Kevin Connors back in the studio, KC. Action-packed Saturday afternoon in college football. Back in Chapel Hill, Sam Acho, Roy Philpott, Taylor Davis. Rodney Hammond Jr. on the field for the first time this season. Leading rusher for Pittsburgh last year. Karams ahead for a gain of 2. The tackle by Desmond Evans. Acho, he was declared eligible by Pat Narduzzi Wednesday of this week. The public found out about it Thursday.
But he had been practicing all week, not on the field, really all season, excuse me. He'd been doing scout teams, so he stayed in shape. He was actually imitating Omarion Hampton for their scout team when he was on offense.
Holstein back to the air in the crossing pattern to Poppy Williams is incomplete. 2 quick snaps, it's 3rd and long.
And it's 3rd and 8. If I'm North Carolina, you're switching personnel, you're trying to work on the pass rush, so you're saying, okay, we already have 1 interception on Eli Holstein. How do we find a way to get to the quarterback? They're not going to get it out quick. They're going to try and have a longer developing route right now.
Kamen Rucker on the field for North Carolina, one of their top pass rushers. He's been dealing with an injury that has forced him out for the last 3 games. We will see him extensively on 3rd down this afternoon. Both teams getting key stars back today. Empty backfield for Holstein. He'll step aside and fire a pass into the turf. The pressure by Rucker, and a welcome sight for defensive coordinator Jeff Collins and head coach Mack Brown.
They call him the butcher. He's a wrecking ball when it comes to getting after the quarterback. Undersized, under-recruited, under everything, but he's also underneath offensive lineman. He's right in the middle, unblocked. Unbelievable play by Kamen Rucker, who's on the Jason Witten Man of the Year award watch list for leadership, integrity, sportsmanship. 8.5 sacks last year. He's a player to watch all game long.
Acho, we are told that he likes to talk as well, and you could see that after applying the pressure to Holstein. Caleb Junko gets away the punt. Elijah Huzzy from the 10. Pitt special teams drive them backwards. North Carolina football when we come back with a 7-3 lead, and Rucker back in the mix.
It's always a great day to be a Tar Heel.
North Carolina snapped the football 3 times, yet leads Pittsburgh by a score of 7-3. Samacho, Roy Philpott, Taylor Davis. It's the Taco Bell Live Más student section all season long. Student sections across the country are competing to be the Taco Bell Live Más student section of the year. Download the Taco Bell app to learn more today. Tar Heels get it back from their own 10. Jacolby Criswell off of play action, heaves one long. Man-to-man coverage, incomplete, and no penalty marker flies. Nate McCullum blanketed by Javon McIntyre.
Great job by McIntyre staying in phase and not having contact on the receiver. But notice it's in the slot. It's what they call a slot fade. McIntyre does a great job getting his head back around in order to keep that play from being a PI.
Acho, fair to suggest this game could be decided by a multitude of plays like what we saw there, and Mumpfield man-to-man coverage for Pitt when they have the ball.
Oh, without a doubt.
Omarion Hampton to the edge. And Hampton, one of the top ground gainers in America, racing out of bounds near the 19. But the way both defenses operate, man-to-man coverage, who can win those one-on-one battles?
Or who can run the ball. So, yes, man-to-man, but also Omarion Hampton may be the deciding factor in this game. If he's able to run it like he has all season long, it could be a long day for Pitt.
650 yards on the ground so far. Needed one. Kyle Lewis, the tackle, but enough to move the sticks, and a first down for North Carolina.
And to your point, Roy, yes, it may be decided by deep shots down the field, and all that makes sense. But if I'm offensive coordinator Chip Lindsey and I'm saying, okay, we're getting 8 yards a pop, 6 yards a pop with Omarion Hampton, let's keep on feeding him. And then as we continue to feed our running back, they'll start to add more guys to the box, and then our shots down the field will come out easier because there won't be as many safeties deep.
For the first down carry, 6-man front for the Panthers. Hampton up the gut. Howard down at the 25 by Lewis. Chip Lindsey told us this week, Hampton a warrior, the way that he runs the football, and he called him one of the best players in all of college football.
I was down on the field, Roy, talking to one of the scouts from the Philadelphia Eagles. I said, who are you here to see? He said, I'm here to see Omarion Hampton. He said, have you seen him in person yet? I said, no, we met with the coaches. He said, this dude is a specimen. He's a freak. He's not so tall, about 5'11 and a half, 220, but he's hard to bring down.
He'll fake it to Hampton. A dump off to the tight end, Copenhaver. Shoestring tackle. Enough to move the chains. McIntyre the stop. Taylor, you've talked to Omarion Hampton a good bit, right?
Oh, yeah, and Coach Narduzzi challenged his guys. Relentless pursuit and tackling this guy. He's got 519 yards after contact. That's something he really hangs his hat on. As you see how tough of a runner he is. And Coach Narduzzi told his guys, specifically his safeties this week, everyone needs to fly to the football when this guy is carrying it. He has an elusive way to avoid the first defender. Someone else got to come in behind it and finish the job.
Inside zone offense, and that really fits Hampton's skill set quite nicely.
But it also fits the weakness of Pitt. A few weeks ago, Pitt played Cincinnati, and it was the same inside zone. They gave up a lot of yards to Corey Kiner.
Flea flicker time. Criswell has a man. Pass is caught in Pitt territory. J.J. Jones. And he'll step out of the 45.
J.J. Jones, 6'2 and a half, 210. This dude is a football player, but he has a future in broadcasting. He wants to go on TV, and I'll tell you this, JJ, you keep on making plays like that, it'll make it easier after your NFL career, of course, to transition to the booth.
The bigger the name, the easier the transition?
Correct. The more awards you have, the longer you play, makes it easier.
Maybe a Campbell Award winner, Texas Hall of Honor member. After a gain of 17, Carolina on the move. Their first impressive drive on offense today. The lone points coming on the pick six by Caleb Koss moments ago.
You said the first impressive drive, but I'm looking at the first impression of this Carolina offense. Yes, we heard from the coaches. They want to get the ball downfield, but the point I'm making is this. You don't have to do that if there's a different game plan that's available. Pitt's not able to stop the run. You continue to bleed the clock. You bleed the clock, you run the ball, you force Pitt to change their style of defense, and then you can start taking more shots with Criswell. Early loss to Georgia, but they have been on fire since then.
You and I talked briefly pregame. We had California at Florida State 2 weeks ago. Got to know that program fairly well. Coming off an open date. They get Miami. Game day was there today. Nick Saban's waving around Cal Bear ties. It was a wild scene with Pat McAfee. But we both think Cal's going to give Miami everything it has late tonight on ESPN.
Cal's one of the best teams when it comes to taking the ball away. They're #1 in picks. They have 10 on the season. And then though Cam Ward does protect it, quarterback for Miami, he has thrown 3 interceptions. Actually 4 interceptions. So this could be a sneaky good game that people aren't expecting.
3rd down and 1. Hampton on the field for UNC. Hampton met with resistance in the backfield. Kyle Lewis. And that Pitt defense sniffed out that formation and the play call. That's a TFL. It'll be 4th down.
People say people have a nose for the football. That's what Kyle Lewis does. You talk about sniffing out. Look at him. He's an outside linebacker in this defense, but he's always around the football. Whether it's in the passing game, in the running game. He had an interception last week or 2 weeks ago to seal the win. And so that's against West Virginia. That's what Kyle Lewis does. That's who he is, always around the ball. That's what great football players do.
4th down and 2 for North Carolina. They'll roll Criswell out. Buys some time, heaves it. That's right at the line to gain. And enough for the 1st down to Omarion Hampton.
Roy, we're seeing 2 games in 1. What do I mean by that? For the Pitt offensive side, we're seeing, yes, they want to shoot the ball, take the ball down the field. For North Carolina, we're seeing a different style of game plan. We're seeing the game within the game. They're not able to stop Hampton, so they're getting it to him in the running game, in the pass game, in the flats, and also a few trick shots as well.
Maybe on Goss, the running back. 4th and 2. Carolina picks up 4. End zone back. J.J. Jones was there, but the pass is incomplete. Criswell may have thrown that a split second before he wanted to, with Brandon George crashing in.
Great pressure by George, but I want J.J. Jones to make this catch. I know J.J. Jones can make this catch. It was a little bit far, led him a little bit, but that ball was right in between Jones' hands. He's trying to keep his foot in bounds. I understand that, but that's a catch that J.J. Jones can make, especially if he wants to go and play at the next level.
13th play of the drive coming up for North Carolina. The end of our 1st quarter, and we've had a multitude of big plays. Goss's 1st touch, and rumbles his way to the 31. See how quickly North Carolina wants to go.
Roy, during the week, we sit with coaches, we watch tape, as North Carolina is speeding up a little bit. Is this what you expected in the 1st quarter this game?
I think both offenses are going to have a lot of success today. I like it when you ask me the questions, by the way. I didn't expect the pick 6. And for UNC, quite a spark to begin the 2nd quarter to lean on the defense. 15 minutes in and a 7-3 ball game to slow down this North Carolina ground attack. 7 touches for Omarion Hampton, 30 yards in those first 15 minutes. Tar Heels facing 3rd and 6 to begin our 2nd quarter. Inside give, racing outside is Hampton. Needed 6, he'll get about half of that. And decision time for Mack Brown.
Decision had already been made. If 3rd and 6, you run a play like that, you know you're going for it on 4th down. We talked to Mack Brown yesterday. He said he loves to give his offensive coordinator on 1st down, hey, if we got 3 or less or 4 or less, 6, we're going to go for it. So it looks like he knew it.
Analytics tell you to go for it if it's 4th and 5 or less. 4th and 3. It's become rather commonplace in football these days to go for it on 4th down. Criswell with time. Slant route is there. And a chain mover. Nesbitt, the tight end, 1st team all ACC last year. Is he a slot receiver? Is he tight end? Doesn't matter. He catches passes in big time wins.
He's 6'5", 235, so he's big, but I'm more impressed by Jacolby Criswell. He's so patient in the pocket, it seems as if he started for a really long time.
Hampton up the gut, back to the line, that's it. Sheen Biles, the tackle. 2nd and 10.
Roy, we talked with some of the Pitt coaches throughout the week, and they were, it seemed as if more impressed by Criswell than a lot of the public was.
Biles helped off the field. Grasping at that shoulder. After Technically a loss of 1 into the flats. The tight end Copenhaver, his second grab. Bolted out near the 16 by Lovelace. Nacho just like that. It's 3rd down. Maybe on Goss, the new running back for North Carolina. You get the sense when Pitt has the football, they want to go rocket ship fast. When North Carolina has it, they'll vary the tempos a little more. They have slowed it down on what has turned out to be the longest drive of the season. Now play number 18. Third and 9. Criswell, clean pocket. Will race to his right. Really lost control of the football from behind. He'll make it down to the 10. And to the 9, he's finally brought down. It'll be 4th down and short.
And now it's decision time. Right, you took a chance earlier. You said, okay, we're 4th and 3. Want to go for it. But now all of a sudden you're really questioning, we have guaranteed points. Do we want to risk it and try and go for 4th down again, though we made it the last time?
19th play of the drive coming up. North Carolina 2 for 2 on 4th down today. Tar Heels need 2 more yards to keep this drive going. Criswell flats it incomplete. Nacho, I'm not sure how many 19-play drives you're going to see in without points, but this will be one. McIntyre with the coverage. Pat Narduzzi's team, Eli Holstein, gets it back when we come back. Black Knights are legitimate. Navy is legitimate. Both teams undefeated at 4-0 this late in the season for the first time more than half a century. Pittsburgh gets the football back. Love the quad box look there too, by the way. I give everyone at home watching permission right now to keep that look going and watch whatever game intrigues you the most. But come back to us here in Chapel Hill.
Yeah, I love Kevin Connors. Love being in the studio with him, but more I also like being here.
Thank you. Couple of touches for Desmond Reid. Ritzy, the tackle. 2 positive gains result in another Pitt first down. We talked with Des Reid yesterday, a fun conversation, and I asked him the question, like, what is the mantra for a guy your size? And there's a lot of players in basketball and football that talk about heart over height. He said, that is it exactly. I learned it from my dad. Reid on cue is a pass catcher, and he's off to the races. Des Reid shoved out of bounds inside the 10 by Jakeem Harris. It'll be 1st and goal for Pitt.
He's quite literally a walking big play. He's coming out of the backfield, so now you're going to be lost out of the backfield. No one's looking for Reid, and then he doesn't get tackled. He has a plan to take it from 10 yards to 50 yards, from 50 to 100 yards. That's who Des Reid is. He returns punts for touchdowns, catches the ball out of the backfield, runs it. He is an elite football player.
116 all-purpose yards already, 72 yards on the pitch and catch there. Daniel Carter back in at running back. He dropped a sure touchdown earlier, and the slant pattern's incomplete. Looking for Mumpfield.
And we talked with Des Reid yesterday, and Pat Narduzzi was just sitting, almost like a proud dad, just watching us interview Des Reid. And Des Reid did have this mindset mentality of, hey, I'm trying to be my own person. I'm not trying to follow anybody else's legacy. I want to build my own legacy, and that's what he's doing. Transfer from Western Carolina. Des Reid, 5'8", 175, grew up in Miami Gardens, Florida. dude is a big-time football player.
He's 5'8", I am too. Empty backfield.
Are you? Okay.
I'm not. Second and goal. Holstein, end zone. Touchdown. Sincerely reels it in. And Pittsburgh back in front. It happens quickly with this offense.
The game within the game is what we're all noticing. We're noticing the run game from North Carolina, but the attack of the outside corners. That's one thing we talked to the coaches about. How do you view these corners? He said, man, they hold a lot. They're going to be challenged. Now they have to step up, and it's been a challenge for the corners of North Carolina. They're being attacked.
North Carolina had a 9-minute drive, 19 plays involved, didn't score a point. How about 91 yards in 5 plays in 93 seconds? Sincerely with the honors and this Pittsburgh passing attack. On all-time greats to do it. Acho in 2 sports. As a defensive end, outside linebacker, pass rushing specialist, and a power forward for Carolina Hoops right at the turn of the century. A dynamic athlete that was dominant in so many different ways. North Carolina will get the football back, and you think back to some of his highlights.
Oh, wow, he's 6'7", he's 270. I'm not 6'7", but he inspired me to play the position. And so there's so many young players that have people that they idolize. Julius Peppers is one of them. Did it on the football field, basketball court, long career in the NFL, Hall of Fame, and everything he's done, everything he does.
Pittsburgh brings pressure with a blitz. It's picked up by North Carolina. That's a first down and a little bit more. J.J. Jones. And a penalty marker comes in at the 33 as well. Gain of 20. Tar Heels are moving backwards. Let's see.
Ineligible player downfield. Offense, number 58. 5-yard penalty. First down.
It's on the center, Austin Blosky. And earlier in this game, Criswell came off the field. They started working on that right hand, and you see a little bit of blood coming out, maybe a bruise and a slight cut on the top of that throwing hand.
People talk in football about blood, sweat, and tears. It's not an exaggeration. It's very real. You're bloodied up. You might have an injury, you might have a cut. You tape it up. You get it figured out. You get it covered up. Then you keep on playing.
Well, toughness and question for Criswell throughout his career. Mostly as a backup at Arkansas and here in Chapel Hill. Hampton in the flats, a nifty move. Bumped out across the 25.
When you're a backup, you're competing against other guys. When you're a starter, you're competing against yourself. And one interesting thing he said he's getting used to is how his arm feels with different throws in game with adrenaline. He said that's an element he's getting used to in time.
I don't know that you can simulate that against the scout team as a third team guy. Understanding and knowing, expecting you're not going to play on that following Saturday. It'll be third down. Key Thompson, Jordan Bass combined to make the stop.
Where I know it looks like they're hurrying up, they're not. Part of the reason that teams do this is that there's that helmet communication. So right up until 15 seconds, you can talk from a coach to the player. So you hurry up on third down to see where the defense is in, and then the coach will get you the play they want to put you in.
Tar Heels without a third down conversion so far. Criswell off the back foot. Well, he shows you the cannon of an arm. J.J. Jones. And it's Dave McCollum that made the catch across the 45. Well, McCollum has wanted to be featured more. He was one of the top receivers last year in this offense with Drake May. Gain of 20. Utilizing tempo, the run to Hampton. Dragged down from behind inside the 35 by McMillan.
So there are two types of tempo. One is that third down tempo, no down and distance. The second is on first down. Okay, the defense is tired. Look at this hole that the offensive line. Omarion Hampton doesn't get touched, and now they're tempoing again with that quick out route. With offenses, you want to try and change the tempo, especially when it's hot, to get a defense out of rhythm, more tired, and more confused.
Back-to-back gains of 20 yards.
Officials timeout for an injured defensive player. Media.
grabs his
Timeout.
second reception for a short gain, and Nakai Johnson. In the second half, and a chance today in front of the home crowd, get back in the good graces and figure out a way to get to a decent bowl game and close the season strong. Caleb Hood in at running back for the first time. Criswell's going to keep it straight ahead for a first down.
We're seeing things that we haven't necessarily seen from this North Carolina offense. We're seeing hurry up, haven't seen that. The tempo, the quarterback runs. This is not what Pitt prepared or expected.
They'll blitz the A gap after a gain of 15, and Caleb Hood corralled quickly. Well, he's been getting healthy. That was something we heard from Chip Lindsey and Mack Brown yesterday. Kyle Lewis with a tackle, and number 9 in white has been everywhere in this first half.
Kyle Lewis is not necessarily the heartbeat of the defense, but he's the nose of the defense. He's always around the football. With a defense that pressures so much, you have to be able to get off blocks, and that's what Kyle Lewis does. So when I watch football, I'm looking at who are the guys who are either intercepting balls, tipping balls around the football. He's always in the picture. It's a good football player.
And Lewis and Brandon George were the leaders for this Pittsburgh defense. And head coach Pat Narduzzi under duress. Criswell got rid of it quickly. Sean Fitzsimmons, well, that's another welcome sight for another player returning to action. And for Pittsburgh, a double nickel, number 55, making a play for the first time this year on the field.
Well, Criswell making a better play. Criswell threw that ball away. So it was covered, the screen was covered, it was a screen, but instead of trying to force it, what could have been an interception, he actually threw it away. So great job by Fitzsimmons getting pressure on the quarterback. Better job by Criswell not trying to force a ball that wasn't there.
3rd and 12. And the play whistle dead. Timeout called by the Panthers.
Prior to the snap, timeout. Pittsburgh, their first of the half. 30-second timeout.
10-7 our score here. 7:07 remaining in a fast-moving first half. And we will get you to the studio. Kevin Connors, hello. Yes, he did, and we appreciate it. Hey, the service academies, Navy's at Air Force today. That's a big game, but these two programs, they keep winning games. Acho, they got a chance to crash 12-team college football playoff in December.
Yes, because the highest-ranked Group of 5 champion will be in the 12-team college football playoff, and they both have the schedules to try to back that up. Navy, we talked about them, they're going to play Notre Dame in just a few weeks. They have the offense to do it. Army as well has a schedule to back it up.
And you heard about Bryson Daly. Blake Horvath, the quarterback for the Mids, has been impressive. Criswell, end zone, and incomplete. Nesbitt with a 6'5" frame. He needed to be about 6'7" there to haul that one in. It'll be 4th and long, and a field goal attempt coming for UNC.
Yes, that was a miss by Jacolby Criswell. We understand that. But I'm impressed by the maturity. You've got to be able to hit this, but they're going to go back to this play. Essentially, your 6'5" tight end, you run him right up the seam between the corner and the safety. The play is there to be made. So we're going to go back to the sideline, go to the ad pads, and say, hey, this play is here. Let's go back to it next time we get into the red zone.
Noah Burnett, 34-yard effort, 8 of 9 this season. Got underneath that one a little bit, and Burnett slings it through with the foot.
Not a golfer, but the kicking part made sense to me.
I think place kicking and the art of the golf swing are very similar. Always felt that way. Oh, Pittsburgh set to get the football back. I feel like we've talked a lot of special teams in this first half today. Kenny Johnson. Watch that football sail over his head 3 yards deep. Coming up later today and tonight on ABC, number 5, Georgia hosts Auburn, the Deep South's oldest rivalry. Then it's 7:30 in primetime, 4th-ranked Tennessee on the road at Arkansas. The Hawks in search of their first win at home against a top 5 foe since 1999. You can always watch on the ESPN app as well. Nico Iamaleava has been sensational, starting quarterback for Tennessee. Hogs with Talon Green, the Boise State transfer, something to watch there. Auburn's got all kinds of question marks. It's quarterback position. Holstein's going to keep it. Pitt has it. He slides in across the 30. Here comes a late flag. 2, in fact. And some extra contact by Will Hardy as Holstein tried to give himself up.
Well, he didn't try. He did give himself up, and he's pointing to his head saying there should be a targeting. As soon as Eli Holstein, as soon as his backside starts to go down, the play is over.
Actually, the play was over. Personal foul, unnecessary roughness with targeting. Defense, number 31, 15-yard penalty. First down. The ruling of targeting is under further review.
Targeting means that Will Hardy's afternoon could come to a close. We'll take a look. The front of that helmet come caroming down. Replay official Rusty Acree, and of course the command center has the ultimate say when it comes to reviews in the Atlantic Coast Conference this season, Acho. We know the football will be spotted at the 46 after a 6-yard run and a 15-yard penalty. In your mind, is that targeting?
In my mind, it is. And the reason I say that is that the play is over, and the question is, okay, forcible contact to the head or neck area. The question we have to ask is that forcible? It's kind of on the edge, but my issue is this. Okay, he already slid. As soon as he slides, play's over. Then even you go to that head, the crown of the helmet. It's the crown of the helmet. The crown is the very top of the helmet going down to 6-inch radius. So I see crown of helmet. I see it's a defenseless player. The only question I still have is, was it forcible? On a slow motion replay, it's still questions, but I would go targeting on this.
That was the call on the field. You're looking at the crown of the helmet, the indicators, the launch, defenseless player giving himself up in that circumstance.
As I look more and more, Roy, and of course there are different angles, part of me starts to question. See, this angle, some angles look like it's forcible. Some angles look like it's not. So they have to confirm that it was forcible contact for it to be targeted.
Hardy, a junior from Lawrenceville, Georgia.
After further review, there is no foul for targeting. It's first down after enforcement of the penalty for unnecessary roughness.
Penalty still counts. Hardy can still play. He is not ejected from the game or disqualified. So Hardy remains on the field. Was not a vicious shot. The more that we examine those replays, that would be the one angle which is not necessarily quantifiable. Still results in the 15-yard penalty. No targeting. Rodney Hammond Jr. is the running back. It is one of the more complex calls in the sport. You slow down the replay and you can make anything look just about like anything that you want, pending your perspective.
And part of the job of the referees and the officials, they don't want to kick players out of the game. And so if it's not like the goal is, well, he lowered his helmet and it wasn't a forcible hit, let's kick him out. The goal isn't to kick players out of the game. The goal is to keep the game safe.
Holstein, Hammond, and the ball was jarred loose before he established clear control. Andre Boykins.
Great hit by DeAndre Boykins, meeting the ball as soon as the receiver meets the ball. But now it's third down. Notice another long third down play. This is precisely where Pitt doesn't want to be. Kamen Rucker is in the middle of the field. We just circled him. We call this the magic formation. You don't know where he's going to come from.
Into the flats, Desmond Reid wide open for the first down and lowers the lumber. Well, Will Hardy just had a little revenge exacted on him by numero 0 and a gain of 23.
Yeah, the tough part is, so they're playing somewhat of what we call a palms defense. So you have to be able to see the running back to the flat, and that's what didn't happen right there. Is the inside defender didn't see the running back to the flat.
Holstein, the crosser, Poppy Williams for the touchdown. Poppy Williams Jr. started his career D2 Tusculum in 2021, moved over to Western Carolina, then San Diego State, and now with Pitt. And that Pittsburgh pace, the tempo, they call it the pro tempo with how quickly they like to go. It'll catch you on your heels here in Carolina. I'd show that's 75 yards, a minute and 16 seconds. Ben Saul's the left-footed kicker, bangs it through.
This is the second time we've seen receivers open across the middle. When you're playing a zone defense, you have to get as much depth as you possibly can. Unfortunately for North Carolina, the zone defenders aren't getting deep, and Poppy Williams goes right behind the defense. Eli Holstein's getting...
The iPads have been a big-time difference maker for us because we can show it.
Reid isn't open. It's okay to go to the check down. I want every play to be a touchdown. You can go to the check down or run it if we need to.
Nate McCollum to the outside, dragged down from behind. We check in again with Kevin Connors. Four and 1 on the season for Rhett Lashley's team. The only loss, a close setback to top 20 BYU. SMU, first year in the conference, is starting to make some noise, Acho.
They are, and a lot of people didn't expect them to make noise, especially now playing with Jennings, a backup quarterback. So they've been an impressive team. Big win against Florida State last week, and now they're doubling it up this week.
Shot battle, the tackle on Hampton. SMU did something in the preseason I've never seen. Rhett Lashley brought both of his quarterbacks to the ACC football kickoff in August. Preston Stone and Kevin Jennings. Jennings has been more reliable so far, and so they've stuck with him.
And part of it, when I watched Preston Stone earlier, I'm wondering, is he injured? What's going on? But it looks like Jennings is going to be the guy moving forward.
Yeah, I think so. 17-10, Pittsburgh in front of UNC. Tar Heels have it. Criswell under duress and heaves it out of bounds. Looking for Paysour. He got crunched about 12 yards deep by Isaiah Neal.
This is the pressure that we talk about for Pitt. This is who they want to be. They want to bring there's great penetration by 55, but they want to bring pressure. They want to try and force you to make a decision quickly. If you try to go to your second read, they expect you to get hit just like that. And so you have to have answers for this defense. Usually these answers are screens to the flat, to the running back, or quick receiver screens, or running the ball towards the outside. Those are the answers to the questions that Pitt provides.
Panthers with 4 quarterback hurries so far. Here comes more pressure off the backside. Criswell A dangerous pass. Rasheem Biles back on the field. We entered the medical tent moments ago, now healthy apparently. Nearly had a turnover.
So that time there wasn't as much pressure by Pitt, but that's that balancing act of, do I have to get the ball out quick? Are they going to blitz? What do I do? So great play by Biles, but also better job by the Pitt defense of keeping North Carolina off balance.
Tar Heels with their backup long snapper on the field, Grant Mills, after Spencer Triplett was injured earlier. Tom McGinnis gets it away to Kenny Johnson. Johnson stays alive. Penalty marker flies in right as he's tackled at the 26. A 44-yard punt, and awaiting the call from Stuart Mullins.
People talk so much about special teams. They say that penalties kill returns. So special teams coordinators, the thing they hate the most are penalties.
During the return, personal foul, illegal blindside block, receiving team, number 18, half the distance to the goal, first down.
The reason why that the people say that penalties kill returns is that on a punt or a kickoff, those are usually the plays that are the biggest swings when it comes to yardage. And right here, you see the block in the back, and, or excuse me, blindside block by Crumpley. That's about a 24-yard difference in field position. So that's the frustrating part for special teams coordinators here. Jacob Branowski, the coordinator for Pitt, when it comes to the field position you want to win.
Omarion Crumpley cost the Panthers.
Spot of the foul, 21-yard line. Penalty enforcement will put the ball at the 10.5-yard line. First down.
Holstein and Desmond Reid back on the field. Heart over height for numeral 0. Reid came into this game leading the ACC in all-purpose yards, nearly 200 per game. Soft hands out of the backfield. Narduzzi reminded us yesterday, too, in terms of pass protection, Reid is right up there with anybody he's ever coached. Penalty marker comes in as Holstein races for a first down, and this one likely coming back.
Holding. Offense, number 70. Half the distance to the goal. First down.
And we asked Des Reed's offensive play caller, Cade Bell, about what he's brought to the table. Remember, these two were at Western Carolina last year. It's kind of a turnkey solution. You bring in your OC, you bring in your diminutive running back who's able to put up all these yards, and then you bring in a wide receiver in Sincere Lee, who also played in Cullowhee with the Catamounts, plus a transfer quarterback from Alabama, and Eli Holstein. A brand new offense. Reminds you a little bit of what Pitt had with Kenny Pickett back in 2021. And that year, Taylor, Panthers won the ACC.
They're in good company, but down here on the Pitt sideline, Cade Bell, you would call him a player's coach. After that last touchdown, he was the first one to congratulate Des Reid, pull his quarterback and receivers to the side, immediately giving input. He said that's why he likes to be down here on the sidelines. Big communicator with the players.
Yeah, I mean, he's almost as young as many of the guys on his roster. Across the middle, penalty marker comes in. And on second and long, holding call likely coming on Pitt's offensive line. It was a nominal gain in terms of the play itself.
Offense, number 55. Penalties declined. Third down. North Carolina.
Half the distance, you can understand why they would decline the penalty. Let's go ahead and make it 3rd and long.
Correct. It's more than the half the distance. It's more about the down and distance. You don't want a 2nd and call it instead of 13, a 2nd and 15. Just take the 3rd down. You're going to see the holding by B.J. Williams, the right guard. But more than anything, you want to say, okay, it's 3rd down. Let's get off the field. Let's get the ball back. And in these last 4 minutes, North Carolina wants to get a score to try and steal back some of that momentum going into the second half.
Cade Bell. Call the play for Eli Holstein. The helmet communication new this year in college football. Cuts off with 15 seconds to go on the play clock.
And this is, Roy, when we would do this, we call this backed up or black zone. It gets loud back there. You're trying, yes, to get a 1st down. That's likely what Cade Bell wants to do. But some offenses say, let's just get in better field position so we're not punting out of the back of our end zone. And as we say it, they're going backwards again.
Yeah.
Full start. Offense. Number 11. Half the distance to the goal. Still 3rd down. Clock will start on the snap.
Lee costs his team. Cayman Rucker back on the field for North Carolina. We've already talked about his impact today. You wonder what kind of difference he could have made against JMU or Duke in these last 2 weeks. Screen pass to Reid. He'll tap dance his way across the 10. Back across the original line of scrimmage. Ritzy, the tackle. The North Carolina defense, Acho, they've been much maligned at times this year. They'll get the stop deep in Pitt territory.
And that was a huge play by North Carolina for multiple reasons. Number 1, you get a big-time stop. Number 2, this is the last 4 minutes of the first half, which leads into the first 4 minutes of the second half. That 8-minute, or some people call it the last 5 and first 5, that 10-minute period is usually the biggest swing of momentum because North Carolina will receive the ball in the second half. And so if they score here, they get a chance to double up.
Huzzy will get out of the way. The Junko punt. Pittsburgh roll. Whistle this play down all the way at the 27. A punt of 59 yards. Kick off your Week 5 NFL Sunday with the Countdown Crew. Where the Cowboys and Steelers renew their rivalry, they'll look at how Dallas's injuries will impact that game and all the latest news, of course, from Adam Schefter. Sunday NFL Countdown, 10 a.m. Eastern on ESPN, also on the app. All right, Acho, plenty of time for North Carolina. 2:51 to go in the half and a chance to tie things up before the break. And Jacolby Criswell, it's been uneven at times, but you look at his numbers, 9 of 17 for 76 yards. He's avoided some big losses. Pocket collapsing into the flats. Copenhaver. Nice move for the tight end. Spun down out of bounds by Brandon George. And enough for a 1st down, a gain of 11.
A few things I want us all to notice. Number 1, there's the 2-minute timeout that's still available. Number 2, there's 3 timeouts still available for North Carolina. One thing we talked with Coach Brown about is the fact that he said he wants to keep his timeouts for the last 2 minutes because it gives you an eternity to run your offense. So he kept all 3, plus they have a 2-minute timeout.
Pressure right through the A gap. Hampton busted right through the line of scrimmage. You mentioned Mack Brown. We haven't talked a lot about Coach Brown so far today. There's a lot made out of what he told his team in the locker room post JMU. Well, he has settled back in nicely, and he feels like he's gotten this team exactly where he wants them after 2 tough losses, if that's possible. He hasn't mentioned Duke since Sunday.
There's a big-time maturity level
of those updates. Aggies currently putting it on Mizzou. Mike Elko's team, a former head coach at Duke here in the ACC, doing a nice job in College Station. 3rd down and 3, North Carolina with it. Criswell picks up 4. Brandon George, the tackle. Chain mover for the Tar Heels.
Still a good amount of time. You have all 3 timeouts, but you do want to turn the tempo up just a bit before the time starts running out on you.
Pressure. Criswell was hammered. Brandon George This play is still alive. The Panthers have it. They'll take it the distance the other way. Nakai Johnson. And that is a Pittsburgh touchdown for the moment.
Recovered by the defense and returned for a touchdown.
Where the pressure was coming from all angles. It was a race to the quarterback. And the question is, Jacolby Criswell
is under further review.
Was the arm moving forward as he was being tackled?
To your point, Roy, what they're going to look at is not just the arm, but specifically the hand. Is there firm control of the football and the hand going forward? Brandon George comes in, but to me that looks like firm control and also hand going forward. So to me, this looks like it'll be an incomplete pass.
Indisputable video evidence needed to overturn the call. There's no question he is being hit as the ball is being released, but in my opinion, there's enough there to overturn the call on the field.
Agreed. That's what they're looking for. So they look at the hand, look for firm control, ball going forward. I believe both of those are what we saw. But we also saw a big-time hit by Brandon George. Brandon George is the leader of this defense. The coaches say he's the alpha, he's the guy, he's the star, he's the one that gets everyone involved. And so looks like it'll be an incomplete pass, but better believe that Jacolby Criswell is going to feel that moving forward. And what that means, maybe not now, we'll see, it's only his third start, is as quarterbacks get hit, sometimes it makes you a little bit more timid. That's what defensive guys say. You start hitting them more and more often. You say, okay, now instead of trying to step through their throws.
After further review, the passer's hand was coming forward prior to losing possession of the ball. It's an incomplete pass. The ball will be returned to the minus 49-yard line, where it'll be second down. The clock should be reset to 1:44. 1:44, please, and start it on my signal.
Take the scoop and score off the board. 1:44 to go.
Start the clock on my signal. Correction, started on the snap.
We got you. My question for you, as a linebacker, could you sense when opposing quarterbacks started to get timid after they had been hit multiple times?
100%. It's not even a sense. You can watch it. You can see it, because all of a sudden their throws will start to be a little bit short. They won't follow through, and so they'll either underthrow a good amount of throws or they'll start hesitating, not going through their reads. So it's a defender's dream.
A defender's dream. A Criswell dream on the next play. Kobe Paysour into plus territory. North Carolina on the move. We'll talk about a turn of events here. Scoop and score negated, and now North Carolina with a chance to tie it before halftime.
And they don't need to be afraid to slow down now. The clock is going to be stopped. Not only do they go out of bounds, but that first down. And so you don't want to leave too much time for Pitt, which is a fast-paced offense.
After a gain of 23, Hampton to the edge. Hampton still on his feet. A first down run to the 14.
Now I understand why all these scouts are here to watch Omarion Hampton. Who does that? Like, my first question is, who does that and how? Omarion Hampton does that. That's not contact balance. That's acrobatics. Omarion Hampton is elite.
How did he not break his back with that kind of move and to maintain his balance and still gain yards after the initial contact?
It's funny. Well, it's not funny. I was downstairs and I was talking to one of the scouts from the Eagles. He said, I'm here to watch Hampton. Then I talked to another scout from the Bears. He was like, well, I'm here to watch a bunch of guys on a bunch of different teams. And he's happened to slide in Hampton as well. So some teams don't want everybody to know who they're watching, but we all know that Hampton is the star for this North Carolina team.
Pat Narduzzi has seen enough here. He'll call a timeout.
Pittsburgh, their second of the half, 30-second timeout.
Almost felt like a basketball timeout. You're trying to cool down the run for a hot shooting guard for the other team. North Carolina fans, you know what I'm talking about there. They had their basketball media day yesterday. Don't forget our Week 5 Monday Night Football matchup. The Chiefs and the Saints live from Arrowhead, 8 Eastern on ESPN, ESPN Deportes. And, of course, with Peyton and Eli again on ESPN2. People bad-mouthing Patrick Mahomes. They're undefeated. They're 4-0.
But they got another injury. Rashee Rice is now out. I mean, so are we concerned, Roy? I don't know.
I'm not.
Pacheco, there's so many guys who have been out. The offensive line is strong, though. Creed Humphrey, best center in the league, one of the best centers. Trey Smith, one of the best guards in the league. So offensive line is set. Andy Reid, who's doing his thing. But it seems as if injuries continue to abound for Kansas City.
If that was Devontae Adams, I would think long and hard about trying to get down there to the Midwest as opposed to New York, New Orleans. We'll see. Monte Adams and Patrick Mahomes.
You don't think he wants to go back with his best friend,
I know he
Aaron
does.
Okay, all
yeah,
right,
I know he does.
All right, just making sure.
That would be a nice dynamic combo. After the timeout, second down, delayed give, Hampton. Cuts it back inside and a strong finish. Sheen Biles the tackle. It should be enough to make it 1st and goal, and it is.
The most important thing, Roy, that I saw was how Omarion Hampton sought contact. Smart enough to know he doesn't need to go out of bounds. They have all 3 timeouts. Smart enough to know the clock's going to stop. And smart enough to know that these 3 extra yards of me lowering my shoulder is going to be more beneficial to my team than stepping out of bounds. Brilliant play.
Jumbo set, multiple tight ends. Inside give, Hampton legs churning across the goal line for the touchdown. Omarion Hampton would not give up.
Little things done well make big things happen. Omarion Hampton came back this year, not necessarily to only be a better runner. He wanted to be a better pass protector, better catcher out of the backfield, but he still gets rewarded for keeping the main thing the main thing. One of the best running backs in all of college football, but he does it all. More than just a runner, a blocker, and a pass catcher as well.
7th touchdown on the ground this season, the 30th of his career in Chapel Hill. With the balance, the vision, and the power on display in this first half.
The more you can do. So you start looking at the intricacies. Right here, he lowers his shoulder, runs over essentially, or runs through, runs with 3 defenders. On the play before, you see him break somebody's ankles that he should have been. He's not so big, not 6'3", Derrick Henry, but he runs strong. He's physical. He's the Gatorade North Carolina Player of the Year in high school. Now he's top 10 in rushing for North Carolina history. Ran for 1,500 yards last year, which was 5th in the nation. Draft stock rising.
NFL teams don't like drafting running backs in the first round. We understand that. That's the world we live in 2024. But Hampton is a guy playing for Coach Mack Brown. Think about what he could do for your team at the next level. The power, the vision. We talked about the speed. Nose for the end zone. True difference maker. Even at the running back position. Eli Holstein back on the field. Penalty marker comes in as well. Well after that play concluded. A lot of flags. Feels like we've seen more penalties this year in the sport overall. Acho, in the games that we've had in the ACC and the SEC, I think that's been the case.
Could be critical depending on who it's on, because 40 seconds left, an offense that loves to go fast paced still has a timeout. If this is on North Carolina, gives Pitt good field position, expect a few deep shots.
1 timeout for Pitt.
After the play was over, personal foul, unnecessary roughness, receiving team number 82. After this is to the goal, 1st down.
Malachi Thomas, one of the upbacks. Tied at 17, 42 seconds to go in the half. Pittsburgh the 1 timeout to work with. We're already under the 2-minute pause. And Acho, they'll move the football inside the 15. How aggressive should you be if you're Cade Bell and Pat Narduzzi?
It's more than should, it's who you are. Cade Bell is an aggressive human being, only 31 years old, but last year at Western Carolina had the top scoring offense in the FCS, one of the top overall offenses, and they're already one of the top offenses now here in Pitt. So they're going to be aggressive. You only have 1 timeout, but 1st down, stop the clock.
Holstein to the air, dumps it off to Reid. He'll have a 1st down, and the jitterbug racing out of bounds. Well, that'll stop the clock. Ahead to the 26.
And it's almost like this mixed aggression, because you think, okay, check down, that's not aggressive. Who are you checking the ball down to? You're checking the ball down to one of the most prolific runners in college football. So they are going to be aggressive, even if that aggression looks like a check down to number 0.
Backside pressure, Holstein to Reid. Gain of 4. Clock moving.
I would have called a timeout there. With all the receivers running down deep, the clock is ticking. Wasted about 7 seconds.
Holstein again. Reid grabs it high. It's enough for a first down, and we'll see if Pitt wants to utilize a timeout here. Clock will pause for a moment. Move the chains. And now running. Holstein's got to go. Penalty markers fly in. Mumpfield has it in North Carolina territory, but a holding call will negate everything you just saw.
And there are triple zeros on the clock.
Holding. Offense. Number 78. The penalty just declined. It's halftime.
Saul sends it deep. And well over the head of McCollum to begin our third quarter. Well, welcome to our broadcast position. Sam Acho, Roy Philpott. We just heard from Taylor Davis down on the sidelines. The story so far, these running backs, Des Reid, Omarion Hampton, they've been lights out. And with that in mind, it's Acho Mind time here in Chapel Hill, Sam, with these running backs. They have been phenomenal so far.
Well, there are certain things that happen in football games that make me go Acho Mind. Number one, it's Des Reid. He's 5'8", 175, plays like a running back, but also like a receiver. But also, I mentioned that 175. Nobody told him he's 175 because he runs through offensive and defensive players, whoever's in his way. Then Omarion Hampton, he defies gravity with moves like that. And then also, he's a physical running back. So that's what makes me go Acho Mind.
Absolutely love it. The pass incomplete to Kobe Paysour. Tar Heels take a shot to begin our second half. Acho just fired his shot with those running backs. I'm still not sure how Hampton maintained balance. It was a scene out of The Matrix back in 1999. Keanu Reeves somehow staying on his feet, trying to avoid harm.
Neo grabbing the bullet and looking at it left and right and saying, just dropping it. That's what happened with Omarion Hampton.
I didn't know if you were old enough to remember The Matrix, but obviously
that
fan.
was one of the first movies I really watch, like, Morpheus and all of them, Red Pill, Blue Pill.
Hampton, straight ahead. Boy, Pittsburgh has been gashed at times right through the center of the line of scrimmage. P.J. O'Brien back on the field after being suspended in the first half for targeting against Youngstown State 2 weeks ago. Makes the tackle, but Hampton picks up 12 and now over 100 yards rushing already.
He never wants to come out of the game. That's the thing the coaches have said about him, and that's that mentality that you want to have from your bell cow, your big-time superstar running back. It makes the offensive line want to block harder for him.
Carolina's had a running back go over the century mark in every game this year. The only team in America that can make that claim. Fitzsimmons the tackle. As we take a look at today's player spotlight, brought to you by Febreze. No surprise, Desmond Reid, in terms of reception yards, on track to maybe catch 300 yards through the air today.
Desmond Reid does it all, and he usually does it in the second half. I remember that Cincinnati game from a couple weeks ago. Pitt was down big, and all they did was dink and dump it to Des Reid, and he had over 100 yards in that second half alone. So that's what I expect in this game. Des Reid, a heavy dose.
On 2nd and 12, Criswell elusive across his body, and J.J. Jones into Pitt territory. Ushered out at the 47. Ryland Gandy had a chance to make the tackle, couldn't do it. Jones made him pay.
J.J. Jones is the 2024 ACC Top 6 in Service Award. On this play, he showed some service to his quarterback by being available across the field. They oftentimes tell quarterbacks don't throw it across your body because there may be defenders you don't see who could intercept it. But J.J. Jones not only made the catch, but also had great blocking by John Copenhaver down the field to get a big-time gain. That's the kind of momentum you want to see coming out of halftime to build confidence in your football team.
Criswell again, fires one deep, has a man, and it's too far. Chris Culliver, post corner, broke open for a moment. Culliver, only 2 catches this year.
That's the second open receiver that Jacolby Criswell has overthrown, which some of that could be attributed to nerves, but I really see the plays are open. So now Criswell has to mature during this game and be able to make those throws, especially when they're that wide open.
Chip Lindsey told us yesterday Criswell has been surprisingly good on the move with his accuracy. Goss goes straight ahead. George brings him down. And there's no doubt Criswell with the arm strength, he can throw it through a brick wall. Again, for a guy expected to be the second or third team quarterback for the majority of this season, thrusted into this spot. He's been adjusting on the fly, a crash course in Chip Lindsey's offense.
We talked earlier, Roy, about that hurry up, the differences. Well, this is that third down. The first thing I look at is down and distance. They run up to the line. As a defensive player, I know 90% of the time they're not snapping it. They just want to get a look. Now they've got their look. They're in their play. They're going to snap it.
6 in the box for the Panthers. Off the twist. Will bring 4. Criswell buys some time. Incomplete. Jimmy Scott applying the pressure. 44 for Pitt. 4th down and 6.
This is that, do you punt it? Do you go for it? Analytics, I don't know what analytics tell you, to be honest. I'm more of a feel guy than an analytics guy. Mack Brown said something similar. He said analytics doesn't take into account momentum. Analytics looks like it says to go for it, and I don't disagree with that decision. You have a little bit of momentum, get a first down, keep your defense off the field, keep theirs on it.
Tar Heels had a 19-play, 9-minute drive in the first half that resulted in 0 points. 3 minutes off the clock to begin our third quarter. Man-to-man coverage at the bottom of your screen with J.J. Jones. They'll go the other way, and it's incomplete. They tried to set up the screen to Kobe Paysour, and that play was blown up, it felt like, from the snap.
Nate McCollum has too much traffic in there. He's supposed to be blocking. Paysour tries to come back, doesn't come back with enough intent. The ball wasn't placed properly.
Kenan Stadium, the site. You're watching the ACC on ESPN. North Carolina trying to stop a 2-game losing streak. Pittsburgh trying to remain undefeated. 12:01 to go in our third quarter. We remain tied at 17. Samacho, Roy Philpott, Taylor Davis. Greg Reed, a touch. The leading all-purpose yard man in the ACC grabs a couple. The tackle by Desmond Evans. Eli Holstein, enormous numbers already, on track to throw for over 500 yards today. He has completed 8 passes in a row as well. Until that attempt. The pass incomplete, looking for Poppy Williams. Huzzy in coverage. Quickly, it's 3rd down.
This team, we talked about it all game, Roy, they love to go fast, but on 3rd down, they go slow. They want to be in the right play. They understand how critical 3rd down is. What is that right play? Who do you target? Maybe you may target number 29 on defense. That's who they targeted on some of these other big plays.
Reed's got it, and a 1st down into North Carolina territory. Jakeem Harris, the tackle. Drive remains alive. Anytime Pittsburgh needs a big play, Des Reed has provided it. Holstein, the pump fake. Heaves one deep. Plenty of air underneath that one, but incomplete for Johnson. And it was 29 in coverage. Marcus Allen. Boy, Holstein, right after the pump fake, was looking Johnson's direction. He was not open. Not sure if he was trying to throw it away. He did give Johnson an opportunity. That play didn't have a chance, it felt like.
It was good coverage by Allen, especially early on in that play with the jam to keep the timing of that play from being perfect.
2nd down. Mumpfield moves out. Penalty marker flies in. And the dump off across the middle. Lee grabbed it, but a holding penalty will negate it.
Hold. Offense. Number 70. 10-yard penalty. 2nd down.
That's Ryan Baer grabbing Desmond Evans, Acho.
And sometimes I know Desmond Evans doesn't have a sack yet or a forced fumble or an interception, but sometimes there are different ways to affect plays. That's one of them. Now, the benefit for Desmond Evans is this. Okay, he held me on the last play. I know I can beat him if I go inside. That's what we saw in inside pass rush. The next step could be, okay, fake inside and go outside. The ball does like to come out fast in this offense, but Evans could build momentum as he continues to grow his pass rush.
Jeff Collins said yesterday, he's wild and crazy. He said, he's too much like me. Holstein slings it. 1 yard short of the line to gain. Back to Des Reed. Maury Campbell, the tackle. Check that. That's back to the original line of scrimmage. After the penalty yardage, 3rd down and 11.
And we see again, Roy, they're slowing down on 3rd down. Get in the right play. We understand how critical this down is. Last time they got a chance to get a 1st down, so that's a first down. That's another 3rd down win. I believe it was a running play. Get it to Des Reed. I think this game has all been about Des Reed. They have him stacked in the backfield as somewhat of a tight end. They may motion him to see who's going to be on him.
Almost can't see him behind the line of scrimmage. Holstein the other way. Wants it all. Double coverage. 2 men down there, and Pitt's Mumpfield grabs it inside the 1. Nacho, there were 4 players in the vicinity, 2 for Pitt, 2 for North Carolina. And it's Konata Mumpfield gaining 46.
Big play, Konata. That's what we're seeing. As they hurry up again, Konata Mumpfield is making big plays for this team.
Reed in the backfield. He'll lose a couple. But Pittsburgh has had a multitude of big plays. Mumpfield, like a center fielder, grabbed it right off the turf.
A great job by Konata Mumpfield, 6'1", 185. He was named Freshman All-American in 2021 by The Athletic. Started all 12 games last year after transferring from Akron. He's become a leader on this team, was voted captain by his teammates, and is showing why he's the receiving leader and catches leader and touchdowns leader for Pitt.
Reed lost a yard. 2nd and goal. Holstein into traffic. Mumpfield could not reel it in. Caleb Koss had a pick 6 in the 1st quarter, jarred it loose.
Caleb Costa showing up big time in the red zone. Last time, Roy, you just talked about it, he had that pick six. This time, he sees the route coming in, and he gets his hand inside to get through the body of the receiver without a pass interference. So Caleb Costa is coming in very clutch in the red zone for his defense.
Holstein, Reid into the flats, one man to beat towards the front pylon, and he got there. Right in front of Campbell, touchdown Pitt. He told us yesterday, I'm not scared of anything, and that massive linebacker trying to chase him down, no problem whatsoever.
And that anything included animals. Said I'm not afraid of animals, I'm afraid of heights, but not human beings on this football field. Des Reid is a mismatch waiting to happen. We saw right there, the linebacker is available right there. Amari Campbell was there, could have made the tackle.
Ruling on a previous play of a touchdown is under further review.
Well, they want to check this to make sure possession was clear and present as he crossed the goal line. And the initial indication from our perspective certainly looks like that's the case. But of course, if you fumble the ball through the end zone, it's a touchback and a turnover. Carolina would get it back.
But to me, it looked as if he had control and possession as the ball is crossing the plane, even hitting the pylon.
They also want to make sure, of course, that he was inbounds throughout the entire process as the ball crossed the goal line. Nacho, I haven't seen a look yet to suggest the call should be overturned. Perhaps our best angle here. Now the longest
After further
drive
review, the ruling on the field stands. Touchdown.
took 3 minutes and 3 seconds off the clock today for Pitt. 58 yards with Des Reid. Nearly 200 all-purpose yards today. That is above his season average, which led the Atlantic Coast Conference. He missed the last game against Youngstown State. Bye week, started gaining health and strength. He was all smiles yesterday in our sit-down conversation with Pat Narduzzi. We asked Des Reid, what was it like when you committed to Pittsburgh? He said, Coach Narduzzi, he was just real excited, and I'm real excited. This is one of the reasons why when you make these kinds of plays, touchdown stands Pittsburgh back in front. Canes are undefeated. Cade Klubnik, a bounce-back season in Clemson. Des Reid says hello. He's right there as one of the most valuable and versatile players in the league. We'll check in again with Kevin Connors. Corey Brooks ties that game up in the Derby City at 27, and what a scene that is for newcomer into the ACC and SMU. Caleb Hood around the left side will pick up 2. Sincere Edwards the tackle. SMU's a factor in this thing as we get deeper into the month of October. Really just to play away that loss at home to BYU from being undefeated. 2nd down and 8. A lot of football left in Chapel Hill in a 1-score game. Play action, Criswell, pocket collapse, and he lofts it deep and incomplete. J.J. Jones, the intended receiver. Donovan McMillan had a chance to pick it off and could not.
But look at the middle of this formation. I mean, just running through the offense. That might have been Francis Brewu in the middle. That's not too exciting if you're a quarterback and you're feeling that pressure from the inside.
Brewu sounds like he should be rushing the passer. And he's a true freshman from Ohio. All-state player now in the Steel City. 3rd down and 8. Clean pocket, Criswell across the middle is tight end Nesbitt. And he's going to be spotted about 2 yards short. McIntyre, a great open field hit. 4th down and 2. Acho analytics here. I'm curious your perspective on 4th and short.
I think analytics would probably say punt if you're at your own 34. Looks like analytics is saying, oh, they're saying, I don't know what analytics says, to be honest. If I'm Mack Brown, I'm punting. If you don't get this, now all of a sudden you give Pitt the ball in plus territory, so I'm punting. I understand the situation, 2 block punts the last 2 weeks, but just have good protection and make sure you cover. Block first and then cover, because sometimes if you focus so much on blocking, you give up big returns.
McGinnis gets it away cleanly. Johnson with a fair catch at the 30. Analytics said to go for it. I'm with you. It felt like the right decision was to punt. Mack Brown agreed. And Pittsburgh will get it back. UFC 3.
How does analytics say go in that situation? That's the thing I really want to try to figure out. You're at your own 34-yard line, down by a touchdown.
Well, the premise of it is your winning percentage goes up if you go for it, as opposed to if you don't. Johnson, the intended receiver, it's incomplete.
But if you don't get it, Pitt scores. I mean, I'm not saying they do score, but Pitt's offense has been scoring very efficiently. Now you're down by 2. So yeah, I like the decision to punt, trust the defense. Analytics doesn't always account for the feel of the game.
You can't have AI calling all these games, right?
Or can you?
It's a deep conversation. Holstein on the move and incomplete at the feet of Williams. So quickly it's 3rd down.
And that's, I love the word you use, quickly, because it seems as if Pitt has been getting into 3rd down and long quickly. The negative issue about going fast is that you may get into these 3rd longs before you even know it. So all of a sudden, decide to punt the ball for North Carolina, get him in a 3rd long. If you get a stop on this possession, you should have pretty solid, maybe not great, but solid field position.
Feels like a big moment here in our 3rd quarter. Panthers need 10. They'll fake it to Reid. Now the swing pass. Desmond Reid's going to be bottled up. He will lose yardage. Will Hardy. Well, he won that battle. He hasn't won many today. That's a big one to prove victorious.
Notice who they were getting the ball to again. It was Des Reid in the flat, but this time the defense had eyes on Des Reid. They were making sure to leverage him, meaning somebody stays outside and make sure everyone else goes back to the inside. Great job by Elijah Huzzy. Really great job by the entire defense, making sure that Des Reid was contained.
Advantage Acho analytics there. You wanted Mack Brown to punt. He did. Analytics said to go for it. That could have been disastrous. Carolina gets it back. Good field position when we return. Quality recruits in the mix as Carolina figures to be top of the ACC standings on the hardwood. Acho, you've never been to a North Carolina basketball game here. It is a sight to behold. Duke's in town. Any ACC rival, 19,000, 20,000 strong in the Dean Dome. Impressive.
And I know we're talking about the players, but even Hubert Davis, yes, he's the coach, but as a player, he was one of my favorite players to watch. Just consistent, sound. You try to model your game after him.
He could shoot the rock.
He could shoot it too, but he played good defense. So I'm sure he's bringing that to North Carolina.
After a 2-yard gain, Criswell, pocket collapsing, dishes it outside, across the midfield line, down to the 48, Nate McCullum. Taylor, you've been watching Jacolby Criswell down there on the field. He's been grasping his waist a couple of times, right?
Yeah, he's definitely been favoring his left rib area. He took a couple big hits earlier in the game that seemed to have been bothering him, as we've got a penalty here. But he did tell me this week, I didn't know that this opportunity was going to come my way this season. UNC having their offensive issues, specifically at the quarterback position, and he told me, I don't care what I have to go through and how quickly I have to learn this. I don't want to waste this opportunity.
He's been effective today, Acho. 14 completions, 146 yards, no turnovers. And he's been under duress, been crunched a lot.
You never know when those opportunities are going to come. So even if you are getting hit, you have to stay in the game because, remember, he was a backup to guys like Drake May, Sam Howell, his first time around in North Carolina, transferred to Arkansas to go and play in his home state. But this felt like home. And so now, coming in as the third string, and then Max Johnson gets injured, now you're the starter, you have to take advantage of the opportunity.
Play action to the tight end, Nesbitt. Bryson Nesbitt brought down by McMillan.
Across the middle.
Sam, it's also a great point that Coach Mack Brown pointed out to us, saying, look, week 6 and we're still trying to figure out who we are offensively. And in the past, with guys like Drake May and Sam Howell, that's been what we ride on. So them having these questions on the offensive side of the ball, uncharted territory for UNC.
But these are when, Taylor, to your point, the questions have to get answered. A few overthrows, if you get those on target, you start building your identity.
Correct.
Nesbitt, Bryson Nesbitt, first down yardage, shoved out to the 37 by McMillan again. Can't remember the last time we've heard a head football coach halfway through the year just call out the lack of identity on one side of the ball. It's present. Chip Lindsey talked about rhythm this week with us and in his weekly press conference with the local media. And just finding a way to set up the screen game to his running backs and get Criswell into a rhythm. Goss the running back now. Pressure off the edge, and Criswell right off the face mask of Goss as he turned around. Matlack called for the penalty moments ago. Nearly recorded a sack and or a strip sack fumble situation.
Nate Matlack is 6'5", 250. Has his degree in personal financial management, transferred from Kansas State. Now he needs to try to manage his pass rush and get to that football. But one thing I love about Jacolby Criswell is the fact that he seems as if he's not phased yet. The reason there's these identity issues that this is the third different starting quarterback for North Carolina. So as you start having different quarterbacks, got to figure out who you are.
Not to mention a young offensive line. Goss on the draw. A nifty play call there by Chip Lindsey. Tar Heels take advantage. The big gain on the ground. 25 yards.
There's a great block by number 64, Malik McGowan. You see him there, offensive lineman, not the starter, but he's played a little bit. Great job getting upfield. Those delayed draws are so hard to stop because as a pass rusher, thinking Matlack, any of these guys, you're getting up the field, you think you're going to get to the quarterback, and all of a sudden they hand it off, and you're 4 yards downfield. So that's a great play design by North Carolina.
Rule him out at the 22. Criswell again through traffic. Dangerous toss. McIntyre. I believe he got a couple of fingers on that ball. It was a laser beam and incomplete. J.J. Jones, the intended target.
And I'm not sure if Criswell saw Matlack on that play because that could have been intercepted. Went right through Javon McIntyre's fingertips and through the receiver as well. So that's the benefit of having a strong arm. I remember when I was playing my first year in the NFL, I was playing in the preseason, and Donovan McNabb threw this pass, and I thought I was going to intercept it, and it zipped right by my head. That's the benefit of throwing it so hard, is that sometimes DBs aren't able to catch those balls either.
Criswell 4 for his last 10. Make it 5 for 11 on the screen. Racing ahead. Close to first down yardage. Nate McCullum. And in fact, it is enough for a first down.
Notice they're going no huddle again. They're hurrying up. It's hot down there. I was down on the field earlier. That heat can affect defenses.
79 degrees on the playing surface.
But you add the humidity, my man. Add the humidity.
Got you.
All right.
Loss of a yard.
And it's turf.
Second and goal.
And they got pads on.
Sincere Edwards, the TFL. You've almost convinced me.
You're rolling your eyes right now.
It's hot, Sam. You're right. You're right.
Taylor's on the field. My man loves staying up in the booth with the AC and the comfort, windows open.
I'm looking at 79 degrees.
But what does it feel like, right? It feels like,
82.
Okay.
Hotter than Pittsburgh, that's for sure.
Definitely. Second and goal. Criswell, they wanted to set up the screen, and it's incomplete. There have been several screen passes today that have been very dangerous. Sean Fitzsimmons, a clear force today, number 55 for Pitt.
The reason why these screens are happening, Roy, is that Pitt loves to bring pressure. And how do you beat pressure? If they're all running one way, you let them go by and you throw it the other way. And so that's what a lot of teams do versus Pitt. We saw West Virginia run multiple screens versus Pitt. They know they love to bring pressure. The answer is screen game.
Hampton back in at running back. Third down and goal.
No, prior to the snap, timeout, Pittsburgh. Their first of the half.
So perhaps Randy Jacobs, the defensive coordinator, or Pat
They played different. And so I think that Jalen Milroe, who's a Heisman Trophy frontrunner right now, that offensive line, Caden Proctor, Tyler Booker, and that defense, Alabama, I believe, is different.
Pitt wants to play defense on third and goal. Criswell, end zone and touchdown. John Copenhaver. Third score of the season. Tar Heels needed it. Copenhaver got it.
So we call this route that John Copenhaver ran the nod route. And I don't know why they call it the nod. I believe it's because they nod defenders to sleep. Use the tight end, you think it's going to go out. He doesn't, he goes out, he goes up. Great job by Copenhaver. Notice they didn't go to Nesbitt. They went to the other tight end, Copenhaver. Unbelievable job.
8th career touchdown for John Copenhaver. Graduate student out of Roswell, Georgia. And we are tied at 24. Oh, what a game this has turned out to be. Copenhaver, Nesbitt all ACC last year. He has been a sure-handed target in the red zone, regardless of quarterback.
And that's the focus for a defense. You think Nesbitt, the 6'5" guy, is going to be in, but no, it's Copenhaver. He fakes the out, and then he goes upfield. As a defender, you're thinking, if he goes outside, I have to take him. So you lean outside. The safety expands and goes out as well. And that nod route ends up being wide open. So beautiful play design by the offense, but I would argue even a better route by John Copenhaver, a very savvy route runner.
2:07 to go in our third quarter. It's been a game of big plays for Pitt, North Carolina. One big play on defense. Caleb Koss, pick 6, way back in the first quarter. Now the Panthers will get it back. Kenny Johnson standing inside his own 1. Oseda sends it over his head. We send you back to the studio and Kevin Connors. Tony Elliott trying to get the job done in Charlottesville. Meanwhile, here in Chapel Hill, Pittsburgh has never won at Kenan Stadium. Lost the last 2 to UNC, but undefeated to begin 2024. And this offense held in check on its last possession by UNC's D. Handoff Reid. Bolting ahead. Stopped short of the 30 by Cowart.
Cramping because of the heat, Roy, Philpotts?
Perhaps. 2nd and 5. Holstein takes off. Room to run. First down, Pitt, all the way to North Carolina territory. Underrated component of number 10's game, Eli Holstein, second leading rusher for Pittsburgh coming in, and a first down after gaining 24 here.
This is what makes him so dangerous. Eli Holstein is going through his progression, going through his reads, sees nothing open. He tucks it, and he knows that it's man-to-man coverage, so he knows he has space. Gavin Bartholomew makes a great block, but more than anything, this is the speed and the underrated part of Eli Holstein's game of if he sees that your backs are turned as a defense, he will tuck and run. He can get positive yards.
Officials timeout.
Daniel Carter picks.
More timid than you anticipated.
I think that's by design. Perhaps some of those signs were eradicated early. Holstein. All afternoon to throw, finally a collision. And the pass sail's incomplete. Kevin Hester Jr. made him get rid of it. Had about 7 seconds to go through his progressions there and ultimately could not find an open receiver.
And now, Roy, it's third down. So it's 3rd and 8. We talk about how quickly this offense is getting into third down. They've been relatively effective, but this is the time where momentum has to shift or gets to shift one way or another. All looking at the sideline, trying to find out the play. I don't see Kamen Rucker on the field on this 3rd down, so it could be an opportunity for Eli Holstein and the offense to have more time to go through not just that first part of the play, but the second.
4th 10 on 3rd down. Holstein again racing straight ahead. He's got the first down. Acho, he's not lightning fast, but he makes quick decisions, and he's crafty when he's on the move.
And that's another quarterback keeper, quarterback draw. This is by design. Looks outside to get the safeties and the linebackers to go outside, but this is a designed quarterback draw. We saw some of this in the first half. They haven't got away from it. They're trusting their quarterback to lead the team in rushing.
8 carries, 64 yards for Holstein. And diving down to make the catch, it's Poppy Williams.
And trusting him even more, Roy, because
defensive if you are a fan of the Tar Heels. Desmond Reid on the field to begin our 4th quarter. It is 2nd and 6. He'll fake the pop pass. Holstein gets it back to Lee. Lengthy screen play, and Lee bolts out of bounds. Close to first down yardage. Campbell was there. Lee, another transfer from Western Carolina. You got a tie game over on ESPN between SMU and Louisville. Tied here on ESPN2 between Pittsburgh and North Carolina. Panthers 5 of 11 on 3rd down today. Power formation. Desmond Reid with a crease. Upended crossing the 10. It'll be 1st and goal.
I go back, Roy, to the conversation we had.
And Reid limping right as he got to his feet
timeout
after that
for
run.
an injured offensive player.
Clearly not 100%.
I go back to that conversation, Roy, we had as we're looking at Des Reid from a few weeks ago with this offense of how they want to be a lot more efficient in the red zone. And that looks like one of those hits that you don't want to see. But I think about how important this next possession is. Whether Des Reid is or isn't in the game, of efficiency in the red zone, now potentially without, on this next play, one of your best players. The more practice time you get into that, the more effective you can be. So it'll be interesting to see who they go to without Reid on this next play now that they're in the red zone.
Ronnie Hammond Jr. is back today. We've seen him on the field at times. Daniel Carter is the backup. But Hammond is on the field to replace Des Reid, the leading rusher for Pitt last year in that 3-9 season. Cade Bell told us yesterday, Carter is the backup running back. We love what he's been able to do in that role. And he's taken over that spot, RB2. Gavin Bartholomew also back on the field. Hammond the toss, tries to get to the edge. Pass Evans. Boy, Desmond Evans, for a moment you thought he was going to drag him down by the collar. He couldn't do it. 2nd and goal. Pitt today, Acho 3 of 5 in the red zone. They've scored 17 points. Go back to the pick 6 Caleb Koss returning at 84 yards back in the first quarter, and that was clearly a big moment in this game. And they find a way across the goal line without Des Reid here.
Got 2 tight ends in the game, so bigger personnel.
And the handoff was bobbled, and Hammond is quickly corralled. Evans crashed the pocket. That play didn't have a chance. 3rd and goal.
3rd and goal. The questions that abound here are your 3rd and goal from your 2, maybe 2.5 yard line. Do you risk the run again, or do you try and pass the ball? Or maybe do you go with one of those quarterback draws? Sometimes you see NFL teams, they'll spread everyone out. If there's nothing on the outside, just a quarterback keeper. I haven't seen a lot of that outside of early in the season from Eli Holstein. And this formation doesn't look like they're going to go back to a draw specifically from the QB.
Cade Bell told us yesterday we love to work into the boundary against this defense. They will run Holstein across the goal line easily. Eli Holstein, cool, calm, and collected. He said this has been a dream come true with his start this season. His confidence level is soaring. And the slap of the helmet from his OC, Cade Bell. If you're not familiar with that name, one of the bright offensive minds under the age of 32. Ben Saul's extra point is true. Pat Narduzzi's team back in front of North Carolina 31-24. A barn burner in Chapel Hill. Inside of Kenan Stadium, Eli Holstein's family taking in the action, and they have to be extremely pleased with what they've seen so far. Sam Acho, their son, has accounted for 4 touchdowns today as we check back with Kevin Connors in the studio. Time winding down in that one up in Charlottesville. 7-point advantage for the road team. Pitt here in Chapel Hill. Panthers have never won at Kenan Stadium. Tar Heels get it back. Criswell flings one deep and has a man. It is caught. Nate McCullum.
I don't have a lot of words to say right now, boy. How did Criswell get that pass off with somebody in his belly?
It's a gain of 48, end zone, and incomplete. J.J. Jones, the intended receiver. McCollum just tracked it down somehow.
Sean Fitzsimmons is grabbing the quarterback, Jacolby Criswell. His legs are wrapped up, yet he still throws the ball 40 yards down the field. You got to riddle me this.
That's arm strength.
That's arm strength.
It's talent in that right arm for Criswell, who's endured his fair share of pain today. Pitt defense without a sack, but quarterback hurries have certainly been there. Hampton picks up 3 yards here. 3rd down.
That's arm strength, Roy, but talk about trying to gain a positive play. That's what's finally happening. You're in the red zone now, a critical 3rd down, but that was an impressive play, but it needs to be finished with a period or an exclamation point now that you're in the red zone.
3rd down screen pass. McCullum again, weaving his way through traffic. Donald brought him down, and that is enough for the 1st down. Well, that was the story this week. Nate McCollum exploded on the scene against Minnesota going back to a year ago. And he was the second leading receiver coming into the season. The preseason conversation with Mack Brown. He's been one of our best players. He's been absent before this game today, and now finally making his mark. And that patience has been rewarded. Play action, Criswell. Into the flats, McCollum again. He stayed in bounds. Jordan Bass applying the pressure on Criswell, who dumped it off underneath.
And what's impressive about this play is that Criswell knows where his outlet is before anyone else does. There's pressure in his face, so he gets it out quickly. And to your point about McCollum, he's a senior, the transfer from Georgia Tech. A few years ago, in 2022, he led Georgia Tech in receiving. So he's used to having a high volume of catches, but that idea of finding your identity, sometimes players have to step up and make plays like McCollum did to say, hey, I'll be a part of that identity.
7 catches today. Hampton quickly corralled, and Sincere Edwards met him with significant resistance. It'll be 3rd down. Macho, you feel, and this is a question, North Carolina in 4-down territory here, trailing by 7?
I think that they are. I don't know what analytics would say about kick or go for it, but I think this is 4-down territory. You had a big play, have a lot of momentum. If you don't get it here, I think you have 2 downs to try and get it first.
Copenhaver in motion. Goss, the running back. Delayed give. Right at the line to gain. Maybe on Goss. Let's see where they mark it. And he is stopped just short of the 1st down. Mekhi Johnson was there. Carolina 2 of 4 on 4th down today.
And notice who's coming back in the game. Omarion Hampton is coming back into the game. In my mind, you give it to Hampton. Now, the other risk could be, hey, how about this? They all know it's going to Hampton. Let's fake it and throw it out to the flat. I think that's a little bit too risky. Bringing in an extra lineman right now, number 75, so now a bigger body. Jakaya Leftwich is getting in the game.
You got 3 tight ends on the field, and a timeout's going to be called.
Timeout. North Carolina, their first of the half.
9:14 to go. Come back with us. 4th down for North Carolina for territory. And let's see what Chip Lindsey and Mack Brown want to dial up here. Hampton in the backfield. Nesbitt goes in motion. The give to Omarion Hampton. Boy, the Pitt defense was ready and waiting. It all comes down to the spot.
Ruling on the field, it's the runner short of the line to gain.
And it's not even close enough for a measurement. The Pitt defense stands tall.
This is devastating for an offensive line, but extremely impressive for a defense. Everyone knows Omarion Hampton is going to get the ball, and so Pitt brings everyone they possibly can, led by Brandon George, their leader on the defense, their captain, and as a big-time 4th down
The ruling
stop.
on the field that the runner is short of the line to gain is under further review.
Think about all we heard concerning Brandon George this week. Pat Narduzzi told us yesterday he's the old guy. It's almost like a Pat Narduzzi on the field in an era where you don't get a lot of those kinds of personalities and alpha leaders. Brandon George has been that guy for this team this season.
He's been unafraid to speak up, and that's what Pat Narduzzi talked about when it came to the leaders that he was looking for. Guys that would speak up and call out their teammates. I don't need to be friends with everybody. What I love about this play is Sean Fitzsimmons on the inside, takes up 2 blocks, and allows Brandon George to come over top of him. If Fitzsimmons doesn't take off both those blocks, then Brandon George is going to be blocked by one of those offensive linemen. So great job by Fitzsimmons taking 2, and then George scraping over top. Those are the words people use. They say he scraped over top to seemingly keep Omarion Hampton from getting a 1st down.
Macho, nothing we've seen there would indicate this play should be overturned. Pitt and its penetration, and Pat Narduzzi, I think, very comfortable. 3rd, 4th down and short. He's going to stack the box. He thought Hampton would get it. He did. Advantage Pitt. And Brandon George will tell you the outcome of this review. Johnson
You see how excited he is, Roy. I got a chance to, I forget got a chance. I was watching him break down the entire team as the game was getting ready to begin. So you could talk about being a leader, and coaches could point to a guy as being a leader, but to have all 50, 70, however many guys that are in that huddle with you before a game, all eyes on you, you're the leader, you're the guy that they look to, that means something when it comes to college football players
After
and
further
college
review,
football.
Really on the field stands. First down.
You think back to all the fourth quarter magic for Pitt this year. Holstein the comeback at Cincinnati at Nippert Stadium. Holstein the comeback in the backyard brawl against West Virginia. Defense played a little bit of a role in both of those comebacks. And today in the fourth quarter, a big stand deep in its own territory by the Panthers D. And guess who's back? Des Reid went to the locker room, back on the field. And he'll get the carry. Slung down quickly this time. Stick lane.
Where we talked earlier a little bit about what we call the black zone or backed up. As big of a stop at that as this was, they're going hurry up. This is still backed up, and so North Carolina has a chance to still steal field position if they can keep Pitt backed up by tackles for losses like that.
Still steal. Easy for you to say.
I had to slow down before I said it, though.
2nd and 11.
Say it 5 times fast.
I can't.
She sells seashells.
Heels need a stop. Holstein from his own end zone steps ahead, fires a completion. Sincere Lee with a poise to know exactly where Lee was, and he hit him in stride, Acho.
And shout out to the offensive line. Holstein has time to step up in the pocket, a very clean pocket. That's the definition of it. Look in the dictionary, that's what you see for Sincere Lee to get that catch. So great job by the offensive line, not allowing pressure from the inside and allowing Eli Holstein to step up in the pocket.
It's a gain of 17 on 2nd and 11. Des Reid pops it outside. Not sure if he's 100%. We haven't seen quite the same burst with Des Reid since returning after the injury.
Officials timeout for an injured
Lyndon
offensive
Cooper,
player.
the injured Panther.
Media timeout.
So Reid picks up 3, 2nd down and 7, halfway home in our fourth quarter. We'll step aside in Chapel Hill. Pitt with the lead and possession. Halfway through our fourth quarter, Sam Acho, Roy Philpott, Taylor Davis, the Stars. Well, they're shining brightly on the ground, and keep in mind, through the air, Desmond Reid has also piled in 155 yards receiving today, fighting through numerous injuries and displaying that toughness once again. 2nd down and 7. Holstein wants to heave one deep, and it's incomplete. Taylor, you had an interesting observation on Eli Holstein. You've talked to him twice this year. He's different this go-around, right?
He definitely is. We covered this team week 2 against Cincinnati, and I spoke with him then, and I spoke with him this week, and I immediately noticed a difference in his demeanor. But when you think about it, transferring in from Alabama, you'd think this guy has it all figured out, but he didn't see any playing time in Tuscaloosa, so all of this is new to him. Offensive coordinator Cade Bell said the real Eli is starting to show. He's confident, he's gutsy. That's why they want him leading this offense.
And he's facing 3rd and 7 here. Holstein dumps it off. That's enough to move the chains. Day-Day Reynolds, first catch of the game and the 2nd of the season. His other went for 40 yards and a touchdown against West Virginia.
The wherewithal that we're seeing from Eli Holstein is extremely impressive. Why do I say that? He's not trying to scramble out of the pocket. He's getting great protection from his offensive line. He's finding his receivers, distributing the ball, and he's showing so much growth. Taylor, you talked about it. We asked their coaches, specifically Cade Bell, did you notice some maturity? And Cade Bell said, yes, I've seen the exact same thing. And so it's interesting to see it from the coach's perspective, but also from the conversation perspective as well, Taylor.
He also told me, he said, confidence has never been an issue. I've always believed in my ability to play at this level, but you step in, you have to get acclimated. He actually told me when he first got here in January, he would go to the facility with guys late at night. They would have a security guard open it for him. He would bring a sheet of paper with route ideas on it and ask the guys, hey, do you like this? Do you want to try this? Really trying to build that camaraderie before stepping into the leadership role that we now see him have on the sideline.
Caleb Koss, the injured Tar Heel. And also, Ritzy was banged up with some friendly fire. Nacho, they just collided with the helmets. That is not the kind of play you like to see, and slow to get up on both accounts.
Yeah, that's why when coaches are teaching tackling, they always talk about keeping your head up, your head out of it. The reason why coaches say that is that oftentimes you may be the one to get injured if your head is down. And so as easy as it is to duck your head, defensive players, keep your head up as you're tackling, keeps you safe and the other guys as well.
Desmond Reid, 2-yard gain. Travis Shaw, the tackle. No, don't forget, coming up tonight, 8 Eastern on ACC Network, Duke on the road at Georgia Tech. It's also available the ESPN app, so you can watch anywhere. Undefeated Duke, fresh off its 20-point comeback against North Carolina last week. Manny Diaz, Malik Murphy, they have found a little mojo.
Another transfer quarterback, and Malik Murphy, transfer from Texas, a guy who had a couple starts under his belt, but wanted an opportunity. And so sometimes this transfer portal is effective if you have the right opportunity, the right coaching staff, and the right talent.
North Carolina with 2 timeouts to work with. Holstein able to escape the traffic. Hit hard, diving down. And enough to move the chains on the initial spot. But Holstein tried to give himself up, but he came down almost sideways and absorbed a hit from Harris.
This is sometimes you say it's not fair because everything was taken away, but he does it his own way.
Reid is chopped down by Stick Lane, Georgia State transfer.
And Roy, what I'm looking at, I know we're talking about Holstein and Des Reid, but I'm looking at the clock. That's one thing I've had my eye on for this whole series is the clock. This has already been a long drive. North Carolina's down by a touchdown. Pitt wants to continue to run this clock out while still being aggressive to win the game.
Already 3+ minutes with this possession. Boy, Holstein powered that pass into Lee, and he corralled it right off the top of the turf. Another first down for the Panthers.
And it's not just me who's looking at the clock. It's also Mack Brown. It's also this defense. Great ball, great read, great going through his progressions by Eli Holstein. But this play started on the 10-yard line. This series did. it's frustrating when you're not able to make stops, especially when you know you need to get the ball back if you want a chance.
So after a gain of 9, Reid's going to lose 2. Amari Campbell, the tackle for loss. And Acho, that's really the first down play we've seen on this drive that went for negative yardage. And you wonder, is it now or never for UNC's defense?
Well, that's what it feels like. You don't have to wonder. It feels like that. They've been on the field for a long time, matriculating the ball down the field. We talked about the heat, the humidity, the turf. The defense can get tired as well. And so Pitt is in no rush, and they're not necessarily trying to run the ball out, run the clock out, but they are not complaining that they're still on the field with little time remaining.
Empty backfield. Holstein going to be flush. Watch the QB run. Instead, he throws it right at the line to gain, and that's enough for another first down. It's Kenny Johnson. Well, that's the dual threat ability. That North Carolina defense back on its heels.
And the dual threat is really real in this play. As we're watching the replay, it could have been a quarterback run, but instead he decides to pass it. Smart play, showing trust in his receivers by Eli Holstein.
And Acho, Pitt is now in field goal range with Ben Sauls. He had a 53-yarder on the road at Cincinnati. Panthers offense now over 500 total yards this afternoon. Holstein wants it all. Floats one deep. Back in the end zone. And incomplete. Poppy Williams covered by Harris. With Cade Bell, the aggressiveness never in question. What they're trying to do, they're trying to score touchdowns.
Yeah, they always want to score. But if I'm Cade Bell and I'm talking to Eli Holstein in his headset, in that coach-to-player conversation, I'm saying, hey, man, take your time. We're good. I trust you. Good ball. So I'm still aggressive, but I'm keeping my quarterback calm as we're in this position to still score, right? Get points on the board, but also he wants touchdowns, not field goals.
Field goal would make it a 2-score game late on the road. Holstein wide open. Spots his tight end, Bartholomew. Stopped by Trey Miller. It'll be 3rd and 1.
And that clock just keeps on tick, 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 tick.
Who wants to run this one, Holstein or Reid? The Panthers call a timeout.
Pittsburgh, their second of the half. 30-second timeout.
And Cade Bell not happy with that sequence, and you wonder why would you call the timeout with 16 seconds still in the play clock. Perhaps Eli Holstein had the play ready to go with the helmet communication shutting down just 1 second later.
And Cade Bell was extremely frustrated. Minutes before, seconds before you saw him on the screen, I saw him on the field just getting angry and upset. Part of it is, if you are going to take a timeout in this situation, at the very least, let the clock run all the way down. So to take it with 16 seconds left on the clock is frustrating just from a time management standpoint. No matter, okay, you might get the first down, okay, positive. If you don't get it, that's a negative for Pitt. But at the very minimum, let the clock keep on ticking, because that's something that you can control. You can't control if they stop you, but you can control the clock.
Panthers have continued on this drive with Terrence Enos Jr., their backup left tackle, on the field. 14th play of this possession, the longest of the game for Pitt. Des Reid on 3rd and 1. Needed to cross the 20, and the ball's going to be spotted right there. And that is a first down.
Great push by the offensive line. You see right there, Jacolby Cowan gets in the backfield, but the middle had a little bit more push. That middle was a little bit softer for the defense, and so great job by the offensive line, specifically the interior of the offensive line, getting 1 yard of push to get the first down.
I want to welcome those viewers perhaps watching SMU's road win at Louisville. Here in the heart of the ACC, Pittsburgh trying to remain undefeated and secure its first conference victory of the season. Des Reid stopped by Stick Lane. And with 2:18 to go,
James Madison a few weeks ago wasn't their best. The second half against Duke last week wasn't their best. This is an opportunity to try and get a big stop and get the ball back, hopefully if you're North Carolina, maybe block a field goal if they get that attempt. But that's when you talk about playing your best. This is the time to do it.
On second down, Holstein loops it. Bartholomew incomplete. Carolina saves a timeout. You got the 2-minute pause coming up. Amari Campbell with the pressure on Holstein.
Yeah, Amari Campbell is the middle linebacker. He's at the heart of this defense, coming right up the middle, pressure, great hit, but more importantly, the clock stopped. So North Carolina called a timeout last play. The clock stops on this one. There's the 2-minute timeout coming after this. This is a critical time for North Carolina, depending on what happens. If you pass it, the clock, and it's incomplete, clock may stop. Clock will stop again if it's incomplete.
Nearly a 7-minute possession. On third down, Holstein can't afford to take a sack. Nearly does, floats it in the end zone and incomplete. Oh, he took a chance. I'm not sure how that ball wasn't intercepted. Des Reid collided with Stick Lane. And Reid with maybe the play of the game to prevent the turnover.
Playing Roy with fire. So you have guaranteed points, and I get it, you're a redshirt freshman. This is a pass you do not want to make. Just to lobby it up in the air, just to volley that ball in the air. Ball's been on the ground a few times. Now it's up in the air.
Please
He's very fortunate it wasn't kicked.
2 minutes and 5 seconds. 2:05, please, and start it on the snap. Thank you.
Has been perfect today and this season. Left-footed kicker from 37 yards out, and to give Pitt a 2-score advantage. Saul's on the way, and Ben Sauls delivers in crunch time once again. Pat Narduzzi told us yesterday, we think so highly of Ben Sauls, and this team thinks so highly of our place kicker. He was almost voted team captain. It's a guy that was awarded a scholarship. Second he arrived on campus, didn't win the job, stayed the course. And so far in 2024, perfection for number 90.
You talked about it, Roy. The fact that as a kicker, a specialist was 5th on the team when it came to captain votes. There are 4 captains, and he was 5th. Coach Narduzzi talked about the fact that, man, if one of our captains gets injured or something goes down, he'd be the next guy up when it comes to leading this team. There's so much respect that all the players on this team have for Ben Sauls. They talked about leadership. We talked about yesterday with Coach Narduzzi. He talked about Ben Sauls being one of those leaders.
He said he never smiles. Coach, he's smiling right now. He was pretty happy after that one. And Narduzzi looked at me and he said, you better not jinx it. I can't help what he's doing. He's been perfect. He remains perfect today, Coach. And so now UNC with just the 1 timeout remaining, and the 2-minute timeout will not help the Tar Heels here because the kick will be fielded cleanly. And McCollum still on his feet. Jettisons ahead to the 45.
This is the 2-minute
Tar Heels get it
timeout.
back after this timeout. KC in a wide open Big 12. Who knows what's going to happen in that game or in that conference entering the heart of October. Here in the ACC, a 10-point lead for Pittsburgh. Panthers trying to remain undefeated in their ACC opener. And the schedule down the stretch, there's going to be some compelling matchups. Much to talk about on that front. North Carolina gets it back, and still some time here. A two-possession game. McCollum, it's turned out to be nearly a career afternoon for him. His 8th catch. Certainly his top game of this season. Going all the way back to that Minnesota game last year. McCollum again. Poked out at the 39 by Biles. Acho, the strategy here, would you kick the field goal if you're able to work it down into the range for the place kicker for the Tar Heels and maybe try to onside kick it? Burnett kicks one as opposed to trying for the end zone and utilizing all the time remaining.
Well, I don't have an issue with doing both. If you get closer, try for the end zone, take a shot or two, in my opinion, and then feel free to kick the field goal. A shot doesn't take that much time off the clock.
Criswell underneath, nearly intercepted. Nesbitt, the intended receiver. That route was read cleanly by Biles. Well, for Pitt, you think about the return of Fitzsimmons, 55. Biles was banged up earlier today. Back on the field, it looked like he was the intended receiver in that sequence.
And to your point, Roy, if you do want to get those two possessions, you'd probably need about 7 more yards to get that field goal. But more importantly, either get out of bounds if you do it or get a first down so the clock stops.
Criswell flings it incomplete. Coverage was there. Ryland Gandy. Third and 10. Well, Burnett with a 52-yard effort. That win at Minnesota back in week 1. He does have a strong leg. From where North Carolina is now, it would be about a 56 or 57-yard attempt. McCollum has it. Tapped out short of the 30 by Battle. And now decision time. You could attempt the field goal or simply go for it on 4th and short. Either way, you have to have 2 scores. Mack Brown's going to go for it. Pocket collapsing. Criswell dragged down from behind and sacked. Kyle Lewis. That is the ball game.
We started this game talking about Kyle Lewis's nose for the football. He may pressure, he may drop out. He's not the biggest guy, but notice he's fast and he has speed. And so when he's chasing Jacolby Criswell, he aims for his legs, uses his hands in the pass rush, and then ends the game. This is the 2nd game in a row that Kyle Lewis has ended it. West Virginia a few weeks ago, he had the pick to seal it, and now the sack.
First sack of the game for either team, and it comes in the most important moment. And Kyle Lewis seals the deal for Pitt. And the Panthers will remain undefeated. California comes to the Steel City next week.
And in my opinion, a matchup for the ages.
A couple of ranked foes still on the slate for the next 5 in the friendly confines. And that will do it. No comeback needed on this Saturday, and for the first time ever, Pittsburgh wins in Chapel Hill. And the first 5-0 start for the Panthers since way back in 1991. It's a different vibe and an incredible start for Pat Narduzzi in year 10 with a new offensive coordinator in Cade Bell and a gunslinger in Eli Holstein that finds unique ways to win games.
Pitt is different this year.